Hey, Jarod. So on NBA with Nuance this week, we got to discuss the positional flexibility and how that affects all NBA. But you're a guy who looks at the games, you look at the numbers, you take everything into account, I should say, and you've then come up with what your all NBA teams, if you had a vote. Adam Silver, you got to get Jarod a vote, man. Got to get it done.
Yeah, man, get me on there.
Get you on there. But if you had a vote, you've already compiled what your all NBA teams is. You've been putting in the work. So I want you to share with me. Let's start with first team. Who do you have on your all NBA first team? And let me see if you messed up the positional flexibility here.
So, as we talked about, I watched the games. Availability is important. I look at that. I looked at estimated plus minus, earned wins, effective field goal percentage, true shooting percentage, and win shares per 48. Right? Because all those things tell me how you impact winning the actual game of basketball, which ultimately, that's what this is about, right? You got to win games. So people who win tend to get rewarded for this. All right. So my all-NBA first team, no surprise, Jokic is an easy lock. One of the forward spots, as much as everybody's down on this dude, Giannis. I mean, Giannis is ridiculous numbers this year and passes all the eye tests. At my forward spot, here's where we get into positional flexibility. Luka Doncic, man, I'm putting him as a forward. And Luka, listen, you take Luka off the Dallas Mavericks, what even is that team? Like, what are they?
The KP All-Stars, man. They're the KP All-Stars. Now let's stop right there for a second, right? You obviously made the choice to put Luka as a forward, which technically is, but he plays a lot of point forward. He is the de facto point guard for this team, which tells me you probably definitely had Stephen Curry as your other guard for first team. And I would also assume that other first-team All-NBA guard is Damian Lillard. Am I correct on that? That is correct on that. Now, this is something we talked about on the show, not for this extended piece, but on the show, you talked about the fact, it's like, look, we have biases. Not saying you're biased to Luka Doncic here, but you wanted to get him on this first team. You thought he was worthy enough, and the positional flexibility allowed you to do that. Did you feel good about that, or did you feel kind of conflicted that he should have been a point guard? Like, how did that make you feel?
That I was working the system to get him on.
The system, man.
I felt good about it. I think, just in terms of availability and what they've done, these have been the guys, right? The person who I struggled with the most, keeping off my first team, and again, we talked about him on NBA with Nuance, is honestly Rudy Gobert. That's because, look, I get it. He's not flashy offensively from the counting stats perspective. But again, I tell you, as I said on that show, availability number one. Rudy's played in 68 games, or 68 of 69. That's number one. Number two, every offensive and defensive advanced metric, Rudy is up at or near the top. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And the Utah Jazz are the best team in the league record-wise. Why is that? Rudy is a large reason why, right? You have to get rewarded for that.
Were there any other guards, Jarod, that gave you a concern or thought they had a legitimate shot at first team All-NBA? It seemed, like I said, Curry, Lillard seemed like they were pretty much locks. And well, if you want to add Doncic as a guard, you could say he was in there too, but we got him here as a forward with you. Were there any other guards, or was it kind of pretty much automatic for those guys?
It was pretty automatic for those guys. I mean, first of all, Steph Curry is dragging that putrid roster to the play-in tournament. And look, they may damn near mess around and beat the Lakers in that play-in, and who knows, and mess somebody's life up in that first round, because Steph Curry is that good, and as an aside, Steph's the kind of guy, you see him in post-game interviews, he's always diplomatic and you can always tell when something bothers him by his body language. Whenever he ducks his head and he's always doing the whole shrugging his shoulder, it kind of, because he wants to say something he doesn't want to say in public.
Yeah.
He's so he did this whole thing. It was you see guys kind of, poking at the legacy. People talk shit about him. So he's all right, I'm going to show y'all how nice I am. Let me carry this bum-ass squad to the playoffs and show y'all what's up.
He's absolutely doing that. All right, let's move on to your second team here. How'd the breakdown for this go? Because we did not, obviously Embiid was not first center. You did not use the positional flexibility to put him at forward, which I happen to agree with, and I'm fine with that. But you did use the positional flexibility with Luka. How did the second team turn out?
Second team is interesting. I even though I said Rudy was tough for me, I still went with Embiid as my second team center. I went Kawhi, Paul George as my forwards, Jimmy Butler, and Chris Paul as my guards.
There you go. Obviously, could have had positional flexibility to put Jimmy Butler as a forward as well, too. Let's talk about the guard position there. I think Chris Paul is out of stock. I also like you had Paul George and Kawhi, who've had both very, very good seasons. And Embiid, undoubtedly deserving, probably will be second, finishing an MVP. But when you come to that other guard position with Jimmy Butler, was there anybody else you thought about? Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, or does Jimmy Butler do too much? I know you and I have talked about how for you, one of the baselines in looking at this is true shooting percentage, effective true shooting percentage. And Jimmy Butler is over 60% in that stat, but he doesn't shoot the ball well from downtown at all. He's not a good three-point shooter on like 2 attempts per game, but still he's here. He's here for second-team All-NBA.
It's so strange, Dexter. He's 60% true shooting, right? Okay, excellent. He's only 51% effective field goal percentage, and that's because of the poor three-point shooting, right? But when I look at earned wins, estimated plus minus, look, and ultimately, when Jimmy plays, the Heat win. Jimmy doesn't play, they lose. So when you go back to, all you guys do is look at numbers, you nerds. No, I watch games. Jimmy plays, they win. I'm like, that got to count for something. And he played in 50 games, so I'm like, you know what? Like, that's enough. Like, Jimmy's got to be on a team.
Were there any other tough decisions for you in terms of between second and third team for you here?
Yes. I had a really tough time between Jimmy and Kyrie Irving. And it's funny because I know people are going to be like, Kyrie's played in more games than Jimmy, albeit one more, but still played in more games. But the narrative around Kyrie and Jimmy are different, right? What are we going to say about Kyrie? Oh, that dude just takes PTO and just disappears all season. Okay, he took 2 excused absences.
Right.
I mean, okay, fine. Like, shit, I'm trying to take PTO and excuse absence as much as possible. Let me get paid and not go to work. Sounds great, right? And Kyrie, if you look at it from a numbers perspective, is having one of his great, if not his best offensive season ever. Crazy efficient from 3, true shooting off the charts, and he, of the big 3, has been the most consistent in terms of availability on the floor in Brooklyn.
Facts.
So that's got to get rewarded for a team with the second best record in the Eastern Conference.
All right, so Kyrie did not make the second team, but I'm assuming he made your third team. Give me your third team All-NBA for 2020, 2021.
Listen, Rudy had to. I couldn't keep Rudy off the third team.
That's your boy.
So the Stifle Tower is on Zion Williamson at one of the forward spots. Julius Randle, my other forward spot. And now this is where we get tricky. All right, Kyrie Irving, we know that, one of the guard spots. The other guard spot, LeBron James. And honestly, I really struggled with this. And honestly, the season hasn't ended yet, so this may change before the end of the season. It feels crazy to make an All-NBA grouping of teams and not have LeBron James on it, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, how do you have the 15 best dudes in the league and this dude isn't on it? Now, I will also say it is weird to have All-NBA teams and not have Kevin Durant and James Harden on it as well. Their only issue is they've played in 31 and 42 games respectively, right? So that's just not enough. But I'll tell you what, had KD, if Harden played 8 more games and KD played 11 more games, in. Like, no doubt. But availability has to matter.
Well, yeah, availability obviously matters. And here's what I'll say for the LBJ argument, because I think that's going to be a tough decision for a lot of people when it comes down to third team if they're trying to put King James on there. But look, before he got injured, before he hurt that ankle, he was a top 2 or 3 MVP candidate. Some people had him as a front runner. His impact when he was there is undeniable. We know what he still brings at this age. So I personally have no problem with him being on third team All-NBA, and I'm kind of with you. It feels a little bit weird to not have
the other thing
one of the best players on. Yeah.
What'll happen is, in the postseason, he'll play well, right? They'll get to the NBA Finals maybe, and then everybody will feel stupid about, oh, crap. Like, we let them off the All-NBA. So a lot of it is hedging and protecting yourself from looking dumb in the future, right? Because that's what LeBron tends to do. It's like, you say he's not, although, propaganda season.
Yeah, I knew you were going there with the propaganda season.
You know how that
put
goes.
that narrative out there.
He puts the whole like Wash King. I'm like, dude, nobody ever called you Wash King. Where? No one. No one called you that.
Here's the thing: if he doesn't make the one of the All NBA teams this year, he's going to use that as extra fuel and motivation.
100. Look, listen, this is already set up to be his best narrative propaganda postseason ever. It's already we're in the play-in. LeBron's going to carry the play-in Lakers to the NBA Finals. I've never been 100% in my career. Like, it's all set up. It's all set up. And with Space Jam coming out this summer, listen, man, it's all set up, man. The League of the Monstars. He's going to come and take over. Listen, it's propaganda, my friends.
Well, you put him on your third team All-NBA. Seems like a pretty good list. Seems like it had a lot of nuance and thought behind it. Thanks. We're going to talk a lot more about some other awards down the line.
Yes, sir.